What's up? I'm Musi Gamer, and today we're seeing if this video measures up. Oh, that was so funny. Oh man, that was great. Alright, anyways, so today we're having another SAD video. Look at that, I got it out. I told you I would do it, even though technically I told you I wouldn't be able to do it. I did it. So today we're kind of talking about the differences between introversion, shyness, and social anxiety. Three things that people often can get confused with each other if they don't know what each of them really are independently. This topic was kind of brought to my attention by my good friend Voki in one of my other SAD videos, where he pointed out that introversion is indeed a different thing, which it definitely is, and I was like, hey, why don't I delve into this topic a little bit more? And so I did that, and here we are. It's been a long journey. And of course we got the JoJo. Come here, JoJo. Here she is. Look at her in all her majesty. Back on topic. So, what's the difference between the three? Now, you can be either shy, introverted, or socially anxious, and you don't have to necessarily be all three. You can have a mixture of the three of them, or you can be one of them independently, or you could be all three. But all three of them are not the same thing by any means. So let's start off with introversion. Introversion isn't really, that doesn't mean that you are afraid of people, or that you're afraid of socializing, or that you're just a not people person, you don't like people. That's not what it means at all. People who are introverted just enjoy the solitude a bit more than other people. People who are extroverted often enjoy being around other people and socializing, having a good time, and they just like being around other people more than they like being by themselves. And introverted people are just the opposite. They like being by themselves more, a solitude, nice little peaceful quiet time by themselves. They love a good sit down with themselves, maybe read a good book, play a good game. That doesn't mean that they don't like spending time with people. A lot of introverted people love being social, love going out and talking to people, having a good time, just like extroverted people. The difference is too much socialization for an introverted person, or too many people, can really weigh on them, make them feel kind of, this is a bit too much for me, you know? It's not that they don't like being with a lot of people. They can do all sorts of stuff. They can go out to parties and have fun, but just unlike extroverted people who love doing that stuff all the time, that's like their main source of having a good time. Introverted people, while doing that on occasion, that's not all they want to do. They still would really appreciate just having a good solitude time in between going out and having a party with friends or seeing movies with buddies. So introverted people don't necessarily have to be shy or socially anxious. It just means that they enjoy being by themselves a bit more than they enjoy being with other people. Shyness, on the other hand, is a bit different. Shyness means that you kind of gotta warm up to people. You can enjoy socializing just the same as an extroverted person or an introverted person, but it takes a while for you to warm up. Shy people are a lot of times quiet when you first meet them, but once you get to know them, they can be happy and bubbly and jumping up and down, and they can enjoy social situations just as much as extroverted people can too. The difference between shyness and introversion is introverted people don't really mind going out and socializing. They don't mind. They don't have like a fear or a little doubt in their mind that they don't want to. They're fine with it. Introverted people don't necessarily have to be shy. Introverted people just enjoy their solitude a bit more. But shy people take a bit to warm up to other people. Again, that doesn't mean they don't like socializing or that they don't like people in general. It just means that sometimes they're nervous about meeting people, or they get a bit scared when it's a lot of people, but it doesn't mean they don't enjoy socializing or being around other people. It just means that it takes them a bit to get used to it, but once they get used to the people around them or a certain group of people, then they'll be perfectly fine. You wouldn't even be able to tell they're shy anymore. And now we tackle social anxiety. This one is definitely the most hard-hitting and noticeable of the three. Again, you could be introverted without being socially anxious. You could be shy without being socially anxious. But what most people don't know the difference of is between shyness and social anxiety. A lot of people don't even know there's a difference between the two, because a lot of people haven't heard it necessarily of social anxiety. The difference between social anxiety and shyness is that shyness doesn't necessarily hold people back from socializing. Sure, it takes them a minute to warm up. They may be a bit nervous, but eventually they can overcome that and just go on with the socializing and be pretty much okay with it. Social anxiety, there are a lot more physical symptoms, I guess, that go along with it. It's not just being a bit nervous about a social situation. A lot of times when there's a big social situation that a socially anxious person has to go through, they can experience many panic attacks beforehand, weeks and weeks before the actual social event. Shyness doesn't necessarily affect behavior too much. It makes you a bit harder to warm up to certain people when you first meet them, but you eventually get used to it. Social anxiety really affects behavior. Say there's a party at your best friend's house this weekend. A shy person will be like, alright, that sounds like fun. I mean, it's gonna take me a while to warm up to the new people that may be there, but my best friend's gonna be there. I'm sure tons of my other friends are gonna be there. It's gonna be a pretty good time. I'll go and just wish myself the best of luck. But a socially anxious person would be terrified of the fact that they'd be around so many people, especially people that they don't know. And if they decided to go that whole week, they would be just terrified of what might happen at that party. They're thinking in their head they might make an idiot out of themselves and embarrass themselves. They're just making themselves more and more nervous to the point where it's going to be really hard to make themselves go to that party. Shy people don't necessarily face the physical ailments that socially anxious people do. When socially anxious people get nervous about a social event, they can go through all sorts of different stuff. They can feel nauseous, their stomach can get cramps, and they can get extremely stressed, which weakens the immune system, which a lot of times can lead to sickness. I know through my own personal experience, when I was in a particularly nerve-wracking experience, I was really nervous about this particular social event or whatever it was. I forget what it was now, but I was really nervous about it, and I remember the nervousness was building up so much inside my stomach that it actually made me have diarrhea. I know that sounds really weird, but sometimes when I get extremely nervous about things, social events or situations or whatever, a lot of times it can actually give me diarrhea. It makes my stomach so upset, and it makes my digestion just go haywire, and I just get so stressed and nervous that it just causes my body to go into a weird, frantic state of shock, and it just is like, we have to excrete all this waste. I don't know really the scientific stuff behind it, but there is a lot of weird things that can happen to socially anxious people. But those are the differences between the three. Introverted people, like I said, usually don't really mind social events, although they do enjoy their solitude a lot of times a bit more than socializing and going out and being with other people, but they don't mind being with other people. They can even like it. They just enjoy their solitude that much more. Shy people just take a minute to get used to social events, or maybe are a bit nervous beforehand, but nothing serious, doesn't affect their behavior, doesn't affect their physical well-being. They may be nervous, but eventually they can get over it and they can just charge ahead into that social event and be just fine. And socially anxious people can actually experience physical symptoms from their nervousness and anxiety from having to go through social events. Now, like I said, you can have one of the three without having all of them. A lot of times people are just introverted without being shy or socially anxious. But those are the differences between those three, and I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoyed. I'm Musi Gamer, and that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I will see you in the future. Goodbye now. There's my JoJo! Ah! Ah!